I will just start with a short introduction. So Urbano Visio is an add-in for Civil 3D, and it's especially for pipe design. Today's agenda. So we have a few things that we can do with this add-in. And I will be showing just a few of maybe of the top features. So changing multiple pipes, changing structure sump depths on multiple structures, then creating data-rich IFC exports, because you can create IFC exports with Civil 3D, but you can create improved IFC exports with Urbano Visio for Civil 3D. Then a little bit of pipe invert editing, setting slopes and similar. And last but not least, simple trench calculation. So just a quick overview. So there's about 10 different tools. And today we'll be just touching on 4 of those tools. So there's a lot more to explore, of course, and you can get a software trial also if you want to do that yourself. Just a quick reminder: you can find everything about the software on the Microsol webpage, and there's even an online store, so you can check it out. Okay, so let's get started. This is now Civil 3D, and you can see Urbano Visio is installed like any add-in. It installs directly into your ribbon. And so these are the different tools. I just started this first tool for data analysis and editing, and it brings up this table with lots of data. And so the interesting thing is, okay, here you can switch between different pipe networks if you have them, and you can also switch between various configurations of this data table. So you can look at various tables for pipes and again different tables for structures. And you can set up as many of these data tables as you want, and you can have any kind of information on pipes and on structures in this table. For example, of course, name and starting ending structure, for example, for pipes, and then the style and the surface and the description. And if I go to a different configuration or a different data table, here I have completely different data. So again, the start is like the same, but then I get inner diameters and invert elevation, slopes, and so on. So you can set up as many of these data tables as you need, and this helps you always to focus on a specific thing you are doing with your design, and so you don't have to go through dozens and dozens of different data that you don't need right now. You can customize it and look only for the data that is actually useful to you in that particular moment. Okay, so of course you don't need to look at the whole network all the time. So you can actually select and browse different elements, so different pipes, different structures. like here, where when I go to the table, I see also visually in the drawing which pipe I'm looking at. And to start with the possibilities of editing, so if I want to edit something, I just right-click and I go Edit Value, and for the pipes, it will open up my part list, and I can just simply select a different part from the part list, and it changes immediately. And because this is Civil 3D, it refreshes everything automatically, of course. But I can of course do it for multiple elements at once. So I can, for example, select these 4 pipes. Okay. So we can zoom in. So they are all on 15-inch pipes, as it says here in the table. And if I want to change all of them, I just select them in the table. I again go to Edit Value, and I can, select any value from the part list, and I just change it. And as you can see, it immediately is changed throughout Civil 3D. And of course, I can do it also in a different way. I can say zoom to profile. And now when I select in this table, I'm looking at, the live presentation in the profile. The program also shows me immediately what I selected. And it's of course very easy to go back to where we started. So I just go on to the 15-inch pipe and select it, and that's it. Okay, and the changes are live immediately. Okay, it's similar for structures, so let me just change over to a different configuration. So the whole system of viewing data, zooming in, editing is the same. So of course, if I'm working with structures, it will show me the structures that I selected in the drawing. And now, for instance, if I want to change this sump depth, so I can just change the value, and immediately this also changes in the drawing, so in the profiles and everywhere else. And again, if I think I made a mistake, it's quite simple to just go back and write the old value and get the old properties. And I can do this for any information available. So it can be numeric, it can be a selection like here, this control value, except for those values in gray, which are grayed out. So they are dependent on something else and cannot be directly edited. Okay, so that's a Civil 3D restriction. Okay, so what else can we do with this? Well, it's quite simple to create your own data table. So let me give it a name. For example, if I'm interested in the information about cover, so I can just create a new configuration and okay, let me just go to the pipes, okay, and create a new configuration. and I just pick from all of the data that's available. I can also search here and to find the ones I need. Okay, so I move everything I need over to this right side. I get it here. I can then change the names, put in some prefixes, suffixes, things like this. But now I'm fine with this. And I will just select this configuration to have a look. And it immediately shows me everything, all the data for these 4 selected pipes. Of course, I can go back into the drawing. I can select the whole network and go through it through all the pipes. I can make my own selection of several pipes and then again go through that, and so I can immediately work with this. And another thing I can do is I can select everything and I can draw a table, so I can get this information as a standard AutoCAD table immediately. And also I can just make a copy and open Excel and just paste it inside. And you can do this with any of the data tables. So if you actually need to create a quick report, if you need to get some information about your pipes and structures out of Civil 3D very quickly, this is quite an easy way to do it. Okay. So the next thing which I want to show you is how to improve the Ifc exports which Civil 3D can create. So for this purpose, you can use a relatively new data set which is called property set data. So it was introduced around Civil 3D 2016, 2017, around in at that time, so a couple of years ago. Introduced to Civil 3D. It's as a data structure, it existed in AutoCAD, but now you can use it in Civil 3D as well. And it's really a nice data structure. So this is the standard Civil 3D editor for this type of data. And I will be showing you how to use this type of data together with Urbano Visio to improve your Ifc export. So we can start this property data set manager. And the first thing we need to do is create some new data group. So I will create a new data group for pipes. And we can put in a couple of values. So for example, network name and pipe name. And then, for example, we can go for slope and we can go for the 3D length and for example inner diameter. Okay, for pipes. And now I can write this for the storm sewer network and also for the sanitary sewer network. And for the structures, I will create again a new property that set data group, and also put in a few data, for example, also network name, and I don't know. Let's say the rim elevation. Okay, and we also need to write it. Okay, and that's it. So this procedure, generally, what it does, it copies the Civil 3D data to IFC. It copies the Civil 3D data to this property set data. So you can see two new groups here, which I created just now. And now we can go for the IFC export, and give it a new name and just start the IFC export. And the thing with the IFC export is it will export the property set data that you have in your design. And so the advantage of this is you can choose, or the advantage of this method is you can really fine tune and choose what you want to export. And once you go over to Navisworks, for example, to take a look at your design. So here is the same network. So when I click on these elements in Navisworks, you can see this information which I exported. So the names and the rim elevations, for the structures. And with the pipes, we have the length and again the name and the network name and so on. So and of course this is how it looks in Navisworks, but this is IFC. So of course you can use it also with other software. If somebody doesn't have Navisworks, has some other kind of viewer, or is not even on Autodesk or whatever, so Navisworks is a nice way to communicate with other stakeholders. Okay, so let's move on to the next example. So here I have a little bit different network, and also with long sections with profiles. And now I want to show you a little bit of the profile editing tools. So let me just start this one. Okay, and so I would like to adjust this pipe invert. So in Civil 3D, you basically always have the rules, and they will automatically adjust everything. But sometimes you would like to just manually fix something very quickly. So this is often the case that it's it's quicker. You want to do it manually, and just with plain Civil 3D, it's not possible. But with Urbano Visio, it's possible. So I will start here from this beginning, and I selected these few structures, and the program immediately highlights so the starting structure and the ending structure, and how the slope will be if I keep the same slope across all of these structures. And I have all the numbers here. So I have the terrain elevation and invert depth for the starting pipe and also for the ending pipe, and I have the slope here. And for example, if I want to do it to give it a 3% slope, I can do it, and I just apply, and now this part is straight. Okay, so that's not the only thing you can do. You can also say that you want to add a default drop at every structure, and so the program shows you how it would be without the drop at every structure and with the drop at every structure. And now, of course, you can play, you can increase this value, you can decrease it if you want. Once you are satisfied, you can just click apply, and it will be immediately applied to the profile. So the next thing you can do, which I want to show you, is also this option to change adjacent sections. So if I click on this option, it will also highlight, or it will tell me that the program will change the adjacent sections, so the section before the first structure and the section after the last structure. Okay, and okay, obviously, so sometimes you want this behavior, sometimes you don't, and so it's with this option, it's easy to check it if you want. Besides just changing the slope, you can also intervene directly on the drawing. So, for example, I can go directly here and select the the starting and ending points manually if I want. You can also type in the depth manually if you want, and again, once you're happy, you just click apply, and the solution is applied, and basically that's it. And the last thing I want to show you about this this tool are the additional options. So there are a few options you can change to get different results. The one I want to show you is this option, which says update structure bottom elevation is set on true. If I put it on false, and now, for example, select a few pipes here, and then say no, I want something like this, or maybe just 0, so just a 1% drop. Take a look what will now happen. So when I applied, the structures did not change; they stayed the same. Okay, so this option actually controls what should happen with the structures, because all of the time you are editing the pipe inverts. And with this option, you can also control the structures. So again, sometimes you would want the structures to adjust automatically, sometimes you don't, and simply you have this option, you have the control. You can decide for yourself how you want to have it. Okay, and now the same or the similar example, but I will now show you a little bit about trenches and excavation volumes. So you all know with Civil 3D you can basically do almost everything. However, not everything is very quick or very easy. And the whole point of this add-on is, or the most important point, is to get you to be more productive. So just instead of changing pipe one by one, you can select multiple pipes and change them all at once. You can, instead of fiddling with the rules to adjust inverts, you can really quite fast, quite simple, just change them manually and be done with it. And one of the things which is also not so easy, not so fast to do is any kind of trench calculation and excavation reports, and sometimes you just need really quick results, a really quick estimate. And this is where Urbano Visio can help. So below I have started again the standard data analysis and editing tool. So you can use this tool for anything. Again, it will show you all the data that's available in the program. So you can always have it as on the side, sort of as an aid to whatever you are doing, even if you're just watching and not doing any editing with it. Okay, what I'm going to show you is the trench calculation. So here in the trench, here in the calculation tools, there is a trench calculation, and I'm going to start it. And basically, it's a two-part. It exists with two parts. So there's a setup, and then there's a calculation. So first, let's go through the setup. So I'm going to create a new configuration, a new trench configuration, and let's give it some kind of name. And the first thing, so I will just quickly go through these options, and then we'll do the calculation. So again, it's not meant to be very complicated, but you can set up certain things. And as you can see here, you can have multiple configurations ready. And once you do that, you don't ever need to go back to this setup. You can just jump straight in for the calculation. But I just want to show you quickly how to do this setup. So the first thing you can choose is how will you determine the trench size, so by angle or by ratio. So I will just use the angle. So in this case, it would be 90 degrees, which is a straight trench, not like this one in this picture. The next thing is the bottom width, where again you have two options. You can either set a fixed value, or you can calculate, so dynamically let the software calculate the trench width. And the trench width formula is pipe diameter with a left and the right offset, okay? And this is what we are going to do. So the pipe diameter you don't enter, it exists, or it has to exist for this calculation to work. What you do is you determine the offsets, so the left and the right offset, and they don't need to be equal. That they can be different. Whatever is required in your project is okay. Next thing is the bedding. So again, just a few simple choices. I will use sand. in this case, and then of course I need to input thickness for this sand layer. This last or almost last a value is interesting. So if you look at this picture, it shows you what angle is meant. So if I want to have the pipe half buried in the bedding, I will put here 180 degrees. Okay, so that's like a flat angle, which will then give me the bedding up to the half diameter of the pipe. If I want to have the pipe completely covered in the bedding, I would input 360, which is a full circle. Okay, or you know, if I want just you know, very small bedding, I would say 90 degrees or 45 degrees or something like this. So in this case, I will go with for the pipe bed, sand bed, to go up to the half diameter of the pipe. And the last thing you can set up is this additional sand filling zone above the pipe, which I'll also set up. Okay, and this is now your configuration, which is stored. So all of the configurations are stored in XML files, meaning you can use them in additional projects, and you can also, you know, just copy paste them and give them to your colleagues. So it's quite simple. Okay, when we go to this calculation page, again, there's not so many things to set up, but I will just very briefly explain. So you obviously have to choose your network. You have to choose your trench configuration, and again, all of the configurations are here, and I will choose this one, which I just made. Of course, you need to choose your surface. And okay, the file format in which the report will be written, usually it's an Excel file. You can also write it in a text file, and you can give a name to your report. I will just keep it the same. In this table, the program shows you all the values it will calculate. And so, for instance, volume of concrete bed, this is something I don't need since I have a sand bed, so I will just uncheck this. So the program will calculate the full excavation volume and the excavation volume in different zones and pipe length and pipe volume and so on. Again, I can play a little bit with this. I can, you know, for example, I here just gave shorter names like zone 1, zone 2. You can add various prefixes, suffixes. You can modify the values, for example, multiply or do something else, whatever you want. And okay, just to briefly explain this zone. So it is an excavation. So you can, if you want, set up multiple zones. Like if it's like multiple soil types. So, for instance, up to, I don't know, 2 feet, it's like really soft and easy to excavate, and below that, for example, it's some kind of rocky ground or something like this. So you really want to avoid it, and because it will make the excavation very expensive. So you can set up these various excavation zones if you like. If you don't need them, you can have, of course, just one zone. And now, when you have this basic setup ready, you can select what you want to calculate. So again, you can choose different parts of your pipe network. So, for example, I will choose this profile. Okay. I will choose this profile. It has 20 elements, and I will run the calculation. You can see in the background, I already see the numbers. If you, of course, this is because I have this data table configuration. If you don't have it, you won't see the numbers. Now I will save the report in this Excel file, and I will open it. And this is how it looks like. So let me just explain it quite quickly. So, okay, it says which projects. Basically, it goes by section. Okay, section from S1 to S2, from S2 to S3, S3 to S4. It also gives you the starting and ending station for each section is determined in this way, and you have the excavation volume for each of those sections and the cumulative volume, and then you have the volumes for the zones. So again, in this case, I did set up 2 zones. So I did say below 2 feet is the second zone, and so this is something like kind of I need to take care of this. Maybe I need to change my design so that I don't end up so deep. And here in this report, I get the excavation also by zone. So I get the total excavation and I get an excavation by zones. And then I also have the pipe lengths and then the various volumes for the various, various trench parts. And in the end, the pipe volume, the volume of the pipes. And in this case, it's just one table because it was made for one profile, and I have the total value for the whole calculation, which again in this case it's these total values are the same as the values for the one segment, okay, because I choose just one profile. What I also get is a total number of pipes, okay. So I can close this and go back to the drawing. If I want to do it for the whole network, it's quite easy. I can even reset the calculation data from here. So if you decide, no, I made some mistake, I can just delete the data and now everything goes blank, and I can just rerun the calculation. Now it will work for the whole pipe network, so it will take a few seconds longer. So again, in the bottom you see, okay, now everything is recalculated. Again, I can save the report. I will overwrite the old report. And once this is done, I will just open this new report, and now, of course, I have multiple sections in this report. So for every branch, it calculates, it does the same calculation, and then it gives me the total value for the whole pipe network in this case. And it's the same with the pipe lengths, which are here. Okay. And I can, with this prepared configuration number 5 excavations, so this is something that I prepared beforehand, I can, very quickly now also inspect everything live here in the program. So I can just select this profile and take a look at the whole excavation volume. I can go in and watch the various other values. I can sort this table. So for example, if I just want to see where did I go into the second zone, so it immediately also highlights this in the picture, so in the plan view, but also on the profile. So, and the profile would, let's say, be ideal to make some changes. So now I can go back to my editing tool and you know, edit this profile, just you know, to not make it go so deep, for example, and so on. So I can use this Urbano Visio to analyze, of course, this calculation. The important thing which I just want to highlight is all of this information is held inside of this trench data Visio property set data definition. So the program will set up this data group all by itself. You don't have to do it. You just go in and use the tool. You don't have to worry about this. But this, of course, also means that, just like I showed you before, you can export this data with together with an Ifc file, for example. Also, you can see hydraulic data Visio. So let's just go out. I didn't show it, but it's also present. You can also do some hydraulic calculations with this add-in, some simple hydraulic calculations. And this data is also stored in the property set data of Civil 3D, and it can also be exported in an Ifc file. And last but not least, the thing I want to show you is if I go and select everything, I can use property set data also to label things, and I have the labels already set up. And so I will just select everything, create an AutoCAD selection. So now the whole pipe network was selected, and I can just add. Okay. And if you zoom in, you get a label with the calculation results. Okay, so this is a standard Civil 3D label. It by default can be used with property set data, but you need, of course, Urbano Visio to make it all work. So to make the calculation, store it in the property set data, and then your standard Civil 3D label will be able to show this information. And it's the same. Also, the hydraulic calculation works in the same way. So if you're using property set data, you can really get several, you know, improvements together with Urbano Visio. You can, of course, go beyond just showing the information in the labels. You can create a CAD table, you can export this information to Excel, you can analyze on it, and so on.